Welcome to another edition of Holding Court with Todd Dagenais. Along with the coach, I'm Jeff Sharon. UCF coming off 2 consecutive victories. Talk about a pair of wins on the weekend. And coach, East Carolina came in. We started off with Volleyball 3. Good crowd coming out to the venue. You guys get the sweep victory. Started off a little bit slow. It was a very competitive first set, but then things really took over. Tell me about that first match on Saturday night.
Well, first of all, kudos to Jimmy Skiles and the marketing crew for doing such a nice job of bringing in all those kids. That was really a fun atmosphere to play in, and we hope that a lot of those kids now got the bug, and they're going to come back and watch. Yeah, it's the proverbial important match for both teams. Both teams that were on that floor that night are struggling right now, and one of us was going to come out of the weekend feeling a lot better about ourselves. And I think it really started for us against Rice. I really feel like we started to turn the corner against Rice, even though it didn't show it on the scoreboard. But I think in Saturday's match it showed it. We hit, pretty close to 300, if not over 300. We really got our middles involved, which is something we've been striving to do, and our blocking continues to get better.
Cool. Now, we look at the individual highlights. Tori McCutcheon, 722 percentage. She had a career-high 13 kills. Kristen Fisher led the way with 16. Rachel Vuxen really stepped it up this weekend as well. She led UCF to a 299 team attack. You had to be happy with the way the offense really came around, and we talked a lot about distribution. That was one of the keys in that match.
Sure. She has really settled into her own, and just that force that she didn't overdo it. She did it at exactly the right time, and that's why the middles were able to put up numbers in excess of 600. And Tori McCutcheon now has the 2 highest hitting percentages matches in the conference for the year. So that's a great job by the setter of making sure that the middle has the ball in the area that they need it so they can hit it in the direction that they need to hit it.
Now, we've talked about this when you guys went up to Huntington, West Virginia for that back-to-back to Marshall. The chess match from the first match to the second match when you're doing a back-to-back like that. What kind of adjustments did you make? And well, obviously we know that they worked out pretty doggone well because UCF swept East Carolina in the second match on Sunday night. So what sort of things did you work on? How did the players respond? What was your evaluation after that match?
Well, we thought their first 2 rotations on game film, we thought they were a little more balanced in their set distribution. It turns out when they played us, they weren't balanced at all. They really tried to force 2 of the 3 hitters. And so we did some blocking adjustments and really let the third hitter go. And sure enough, in the second night, they continued with the same trends that they went with the first night. We changed a little bit with our base defense because their setter is what we call an active setter. She likes to dump the ball over on 2 a lot. And she really has an area where she wants to do that too. And so we made sure we took that away. So once we took her out as an option, we could focus our blockers on the other 2 options. And I thought it really gave us an advantage. We kind of systematically took away what they could do.
Kristen Fisher, once again, 19 kills, 10 digs, a double-double for her, leading UCF. Nicole Rydell with 11 kills, and she had a 643 hitting percentage. And once again, Rachel Vuxen leading the team attack up above the 300 mark at 302. But I think one of the big things from that match was you found yourself in a bit of a position in the third set, tied at 18. We talked all the time about closing out. This team closed out ECU and finish it off 25-21 in the third set. Tell me about how happy you were with that result.
Well, it's something we've been talking about for weeks and weeks and weeks now. And I think the difference of being at home helps. I think that's a big part of it. But yeah, no, I saw a team that was calm out there, and they just executed each individual point, whereas before I thought we were playing 2 or 3 points ahead of where we were. And really, they played the 19th point, then they played the 20th and 21st and so on. And I really thought that made a big difference in the mentality. And I'm really looking forward to that mentality going forward now because I think it's going to benefit us greatly.
So UCF now is 9-9 overall, 2-4 in Conference USA. Now you go back on the road. You got a couple of tough matches coming up, Southern Miss and Tulsa, and then you're home for 4 straight. Let's talk about Conference USA a little bit. We mentioned Tulsa. Tyler Henderson, big news out of Conference USA this week. National Player of the Week, sweeping all the national awards. In that big match we were talking about last week against SMU, match for the top 2 teams record-wise in the conference, she set a new national record in the rally scoring era with 45 kills, an amazing achievement, 9th best all-time in NCAA history. What an amazing achievement, and what a great thing for the conference to hang its hat on.
Well, sure. I mean, she's obviously the elite athlete in the conference. I mean, really, you might as well give her the conference MVP right now because she's deserved it. And she could start on any team in the country. She's really a great get for them, and they're fortunate to have her on the roster. She's their Michael Jordan. And as she goes, they go, and so far she's going really well, and so are they.
Right now, the conference standings look like this. Tulsa is 7-0, leading the conference. SMU and Rice are tied at 6-1 in second place, and Houston is 5-2. This next stretch of 2 road matches is going to be important to rebound off that back-to-back home victory. What are you looking for in these next 2 matches?
Well, Southern Miss is the defending regular season champion, and they're returning 4 starters plus a libero. Their setter's outstanding. Ashley Mell is their outside hitter. She's getting a lot of sets, a lot like a Fisher and a lot like a Tyler Henderson, and she's a great player. So we're going to have to find some ways to slow her down without letting anybody else beat us. It's a road match, so we're just going to have to try and settle in the best we can, and that's one of those things you try to win in 4 or 5 because you're probably not going to go sweep anybody on their court. But I think we can go in there and we can play well, and I think we've got an opportunity to win. Our goal on the weekend is to come out 2-0. We want to beat both Southern Miss and Tulane, and I think we've got an opportunity to do that. Now we just have to get out there and we have to play it.
After that, it's home for 4 straight, including Tulsa. I know that we're getting to that part of that schedule after these next 2 road matches with USM and Tulane, that that home cooking starts to pick up again for you, and that's going to be key, especially coming down the stretch now.
Right. When you play the top teams in the conference, you want to try to steal one of them at home. And try to defend your home court the best you can, because those are the ones that really make a difference in the standings, and eventually those are the ones that are going to decide if we go to the NCAA tournament or not. We got to get through this weekend first. We've got to get through a tough Tulane team. Again, it's another perennial top 50 RPI team. They're struggling a little bit this year with some freshmen, but they can get going at any minute. And you expect that they're going to try to get it going at home. And so, again, tough weekend for us to play 2 pretty tough teams, but it's an opportunity for us to really feel good about ourselves by winning 2 on the road.
Now, as we look at the national picture, big upsets all over the place nationwide, especially out on the West Coast. UCLA knocked off Stanford. USC beat Cal. Arizona beat Oregon. Michigan beat Illinois. Penn State now has 3 conference losses. This has been the weekend where everything has kind of been thrown into chaos. What is happening in the national picture right now? Is it that the big dogs at the top are finally starting to come back to the pack a little bit?
I think there's a bunch of different things. I think in Illinois' case, it's injuries. I think in a lot of other cases, it really depends on test schedules and things like that. This is the time of year where midterms start to come up, and academic stress is really big once you get to the middle to end of October. And depending on which team has all their midterms in a particular week can really put you at a mental disadvantage. And people kind of poo-poo that and don't think that's a big deal. I'm telling you, that's a huge deal. I've seen it over and over, especially on the Pac-10. So, there's a lot of different things that go into it, but this is the time of year where the pressure of being 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 0 is huge. And you really have a target on your back. And not only are you defending your court in that match, you're trying to defend the 20 wins that you had previous. And that's a tough thing to do.
Especially when you're talking about a school, schools that have the academic profile of a Stanford or a USC. It's never easy. I think you're absolutely right. I do think that sometimes it's easy for all of us to lose sight of the fact that these people are students. They have classes and tests just like every other student out there, plus the equivalent of more than a full-time job playing whatever sport that any student athlete may play, in particular in volleyball. So how did you deal with the academic schedule in terms of getting through this particular stretch where we're right in the middle of conference play? These are important matches, but they're also important things to take care of in the classroom. I
think a couple ways. Jennifer Alger is our academic advisor, and we just make sure that we're really up to date, up to the minute on exams and test papers and everything that's due. And we watch that. It's something that the staff looks at every week, every day. Who's got the academic stress this week? And a lot of times, all of a sudden, practice may start a half an hour late or end a half an hour early, and no one really knows why, but that's why. We do that. So we're still getting what we need to accomplish in the gym. They feel like they've accomplished something, but really we've backed off on the time for academic reasons, and all of a sudden they have that extra half hour, extra 45 minutes to take care of some of the academic needs that they have. And a 20-minute study session, that can be huge.
Yeah, exactly. Now we take a look also, big news within the state, Florida is the #1 RPI team, the #1 team in the coaches poll. Do you see them staying there very long?
Well, I don't see any reason why they can't. I think now that they're going to have to, for years and years and years, Florida's always been the chaser. They've always chased the Penn States and the Texases and the Stanfords and the USCs, and now they're being chased. And so it'll be interesting to see, because I don't think the SEC is a pushover conference by any means, and there's a lot of tough travel in the conference, and so it's going to be a challenge for them. But I don't see any reason why they can't do it. On any given night, they have the best player on the floor, in Kelly Murphy. And when you have the best player on the floor, you always have a chance to win. And so I don't see any reason why they couldn't keep going. It's going to be tough, but it's no tougher for them than it is for the other big schools that we just talked about.
True. Well, it's going to be a challenging weekend for UCF coming up on the road, but like we mentioned, certainly anything can happen here in Conference USA Volleyball. Coach, we'll be looking forward to seeing you when you get back from the road trip against Southern Miss and Tulane. Best of luck out there. We'll see you for 4 straight home matches.
Thank you.
Well, that's going to be it for this week for Holding Court with the coach, Todd Dagenais. Don't forget, check out UCFathletics.com for all the latest news and information regarding UCF Volleyball and all UCF sports. Also follow UCF Volleyball on Facebook and on Twitter. UCF_volleyball is the Twitter handle there. For the coach, Todd Dagenais, I'm Jeff Sharon. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you again next week here on Holding Court.